What is going on, everyone? This is IPSec, and by popular demand, we're going to rebuild my VM that I use in all my Hack the Box videos, and I'm going to create some type of Ansible scripts so you can easily clone my machine and get to what you see me using in the videos, right? So if you obviously know how to build a VM, there's still going to be things in this video that are interesting to you. So to start things off, I'm going to go to ParrotSec, go to Hack the Box, download, and then I'm going to configure a VM. You can see my settings here. The key things I like is 8 gigs of memory. I mean, at least use 4 gigs. Anything other than 4, probably not the greatest. And then at least 2 CPUs. I gave it 4 CPUs just because I can, but you always want to never do 1, because if you do 1 and you do a task that just locks up the CPU, your VM's going to go infinitely slow. I find 4 to be a sweet number for doing CTFs. The other thing is I have 80 gigs of disk, but the key thing is I like just one big disk file instead of a bunch of smaller disks if the VM application gives it to you. And the whole reason why I like that is just it makes backing up easier, copying to other things. It's always a pain when you have like 50 files in one directory. So we booted up from the ISO. I'm going to click Install Parrot, and it will prompt me for the installer. So I'm just going to click next because I want American English. The time zone looks fine. Keyboard looks good. Partitions, I'm going to erase the disk, and I'm fine with no swap. Whenever my computer starts swapping, it goes slow anyways, and I get upset. So I'm just going to leave it at that. If you want, you can encrypt your system. Personally, I'm not doing it. I leave my system on an encrypted USB, and that USB drive is encrypted with Veracrypt if you're curious. But I generally don't encrypt at the VM level just because I find it to be a pain. Then we want to create our user. I'm just going to call it IPSec. For the VM name, I'm going to say Parrot, and then password, I'm just going to put password for the password. Obviously, you should do something a bit more secure than that. Click next. It's going to give us the summary, and we're going to click install. It's probably going to take 15 to 20 minutes. One of the big differences I'm going to do on this one than my other one, or my previous VM, is I'm going to create a bunch of Ansible scripts. So if I ever need to rebuild this VM, I can just install it again, update it, and then run my Ansible script to get all my configurations. And I think that's going to be better for me in the long term. I know a lot of people like using snapshots, but if you do any Googling or looking around, you should never really use snapshots as a long-term backup. And I think that's the mistake a lot of people make when they set up these VMs, is they just have 20 snapshots spanning the multiple years. And the reason why you shouldn't do that is it creates a lot more IO in your system, mainly disk IO. Because how a snapshot works, it essentially freezes that disk in time and then creates a delta disk that logs the differences to the previous disk. So you're increasing the amount of data you're writing when you use snapshots. They're great for I'm going to do this thing, and then I'm going to revert to the snapshot if things go bad. But it shouldn't be a place for long-term backup. So that's why I really like what we're going to be doing with Ansible once this thing gets installed. But since it can take probably 10 to 15 minutes, maybe up to 20 minutes, I'm going to pause the video right here, and we'll resume when it finishes unpacking and installing everything. Okay, now the install is done. I'm going to click done, and the machine is going to reboot. And then once it comes back up, then we're going to do some initial configurations and then get Ansible up and running and make sure we save all of the configurations. So the main thing I probably want to do is create a terminal profile for videos that increases the font size. Probably will want to disable transparency because I hate transparency, just things like that. So I'm going to click open this terminal, and let's start with the font size and transparency. So I'm going to go to profile preferences, go to background, solid color. And then we can disable use system font. And I'm going to upgrade this to the font size of, let's do 26. That looks good. So now we have this. The other thing I don't like out of this default is how close my cursor is to this line. I don't know why. That may just be a personal preference. I would rather if one space was introduced. And how this prompt works is it takes the PS1 variable. So if I echo PS1, we can see it's all in like ANSI. So it's very, very tough to read. But this gets set in bash RC. So if I v.bash RC, we look at PS1, there are a few prompts. So we got these two and then one down here. This one is case term, and this is xterm or rxvt. I don't know what rxvt is, but if I put a space here, and then we save this, and I'm going to just open a new tab, we can now see there is a space. So that's exactly what we want. The only downside, let me do this, go back, exit, there we go. tmux's term is not going to be that. It's going to be tmux 256 color. So we could either edit the bash RC and put tmux here, or we can go up and edit this. And I'm going to choose going up and editing this. And I think I put a space here. And let's see, root, I can put a space here. I'm guessing here. And then we'll do one at the very end. And we did one here. Let's just see what happens. I think I broke it. Oh, I'm in tmux, that's why. So that works. tmux. Syntax error. So I definitely did break it. I should have saved the copy of bash RC before doing this. Let's see. I'm going to get rid of the spaces I added. And we'll get rid of one more. The else did not change color, so I think I fixed that. If you had a keen eye, you would see the else was slightly different. If I open a new pane, still broken. So let's see, PS1. If I just add it to the very end, this one. There we go. So that works. So we fixed our bash RC now. So the next step would be we want to play with Ansible, right? So let's see. I'm going to create a new pane real quick, exit this to fix our PS1. And out the gates, we don't have Ansible installed. So we're going to use sudo apt install Ansible. Put our password of password in, install. And once it unpacks, we'll be good. The other thing I just noticed, I don't like this color. I wish this was like white or black. Can I change that easily? Let's do edit, profile preference, colors. It looks like this. Let's change that to white. That looks better to me. I don't know if it's actually better, but I like it. I guess we could have also made that black, but I'm going to leave it white. So now that we have Ansible installed, let's make dir, what do I want to call this? I'll call it Parrot build, whatever. That'll be the repo. So let's start off with just creating a main.yaml file. And the syntax is a bit odd. And if you have any questions, ChatGPT is really good at building Ansible things. Also, if you just Google like Ansible module, you'll probably come up with a lot of good things. So if we go over to google.com, this is going slow. While that takes some time, we'll just play with it and then come back. So I'm going to create my first thing of name, and that's going to be the name of this playbook. And I'm just going to be customizing Parrot. And then the host, normally you'd use like a host.ini file and configure it to be like remote hosts and things like that. But since this is running on a local host, we're just going to do this. The main reason you use Ansible is to like do a mass deployment of things, and like you have a central Ansible node that manages and configures other things. Like you could have all the workstations, you can specify host workstations here, and then push out a package like that. But we're just going to do localhost for this, and then connection is going to be local. And then we're going to do tasks, and we can do -name. I'm going to call this task demo debug real quick. We need a space there. And then the module after that. So this module is going to be debug. It's just going to print a message that says, please subscribe. So if I run Ansible playbook main.yaml now, we can see it's running. And this task says, please subscribe, right? We could do things like change a file or copy a file. So let's do that real quick. Let's make dir files touch files, please subscribe. And then go back into our playbook. And now that we have Google, I'm going to say Ansible module copy. We can go to this module. And these can be all the parameters we can do. If we do backup, then it will create a backup. And if the file exists, it will back up the file that exists. So if you clobber it or copy over top of it, it'll be fine. And that was bizarre. Let's restart Firefox. Okay. We got force local follow mode. This can be able to set permissions. You can set the owner, set to remote source if you want. You could read that. I don't know everything off the top of my head, but there's so many parameters you can do. We're going to do something very simple though. So we're going to do name, and then we'll call this demo copy. I guess we can leave this and then create a new task and say demo copy. This is no longer debug. It is the copy module. And we can do the source. And how we do specify variables, it's like a templating language. So we can do 2 brackets. And then I want the playbook directory. And then files, we called it what? Please subscribe. ls, let's see. What do we? Parrot build, files, please subscribe. And we'll put the destination as dev shm. And then if we do Ansible playbook main.yaml, we have an error. Let's see, unable. So we got invalid YAML is what it says. So where did we screw up? We did not close out this double quote. There we go. And we see one changed. We can see it ran the demo copy thing. So if I do lsla on dev shm, we can see the file please subscribe exists. If we run this playbook again, it's actually going to just skip that. It just says, oh, that file's the same. We don't have to go and copy it again. So that is nice. Let's remove this real quick. And I'm going to make the directory dev shm, please subscribe. And then let's touch ipsec. So there's going to be one dangerous thing with the copy that I don't like, but once you get used to it, it's not that bad. We're going to put the destination of please subscribe. And I'm not going to put a trailing slash on this. And I believe it's going to clobber that directory. So we see changed 1. If I do lsla on dev shm, we got please subscribe. We can't cd and please subscribe. Wait. Oh, no, we can. It did not clobber the directory. That's good. pleas. I did this once a long time ago. Maybe it's fixed. If we don't specify the file in that directory exists, what happens? Nothing. Well, that's a good case of the demigods failing, but whenever you specify directories, I would advise always put a trailing slash unless you may get unintended behavior, right? So this is good right now. We're creating all these tasks, but long term, we're probably going to have over 100 tasks to build this VM. And I don't want to have all these lines just here. So what we're going to do is create something called Ansible Roles to help with that. So the first one is, let's do a role to configure tmux, right? So we can save this. I'm going to make a directory called roles, and then we're going to go into roles. I'm going to use a command Ansible Galaxy init, and I'm going to call this configure tmux. Now the role was created. So if I go into configure tmux, we have a few directories. We could specify variables. We're not going to do anything advanced with any of these. We're just going to go into the tasks right now. And we could create multiple task files and include them in main.yaml, which I think we'll do at the end when we start installing tools, so you can stay a bit more organized. But for this tmux thing, let's just edit main.yaml. And this is going to be very much like the playbook. So let's start this off with giving it the name, and it's a dash space, and then we'll say install tmux. And the first module we'll want to use is apt. So we're going to type apt, and then I wonder if it's just apt module instead of copy module. This URL works. We can see how this one works, of how we install it. Again, I would look at a lot of this. One of the key things that we haven't talked about is state. This is in a lot of things. We can say absent, build app, latest, present, or fixed. If we say absent, it's going to delete it. If we leave it at present, it's going to install it, right? So we're going to do apt, the name. This is going to be the name of the package. So we'll say tmux, and then we'll say the state, present. I don't think we need this because it said state was default, but always helps, right? So I'm just going to leave it at this. And then the other thing we want to do now is include this role. So I'm going to go v main.yaml. And then we're going to, from tasks, after this, we'll specify roles, and then we just do dash role, and then specify the directory. So this is going to be roles, and I think we called it configure tmux. And if we do Ansible playbook main.yaml, it's going to install. And we have some type of error. And I'm going to guess this is because of sudo, right? So we can either edit sudo so we can do it without a password. Well, I'm not going to edit sudo so we don't need a password. We'll just configure it in Ansible. And then before we run the playbook, we're going to do a sudo command. So the token or whatever it is in Linux is cached. So let's go back to a playbook. So I'll do v roles, configure tmux, tasks, main.yaml. And every module pretty much has this become. So if I do become, is it true, I think? It's either true or yes. And then become method is going to be sudo. So if we do this, then I'm going to do sudo who am I, make sure this token gets saved, and then I can just do Ansible playbook main.yaml. And we see it now passes it. It didn't delete or didn't do anything with tmux because obviously we have it installed. We're in tmux right now running it. But if tmux wasn't installed, it would have installed it. So the other thing we'll want to do is copy our tmux configuration. So I'm going to cd to the task or the configure tmux directory. I'm going to do a make dir files. So we can put files here. And then go back to my old one. And I'm just going to v tasks main.yaml. and we're going to copy a file out of that. And the file doesn't exist yet in that directory, but let's do the cp command first, and then we'll create the file, right? So we do copy, and then actually we need name, copying tmux config, and then the source. I want to say we do a variable called playbook directory. I think this is it. /file/.tmux.conf. And that's tmux's config name, right? And then we can do dest. And what is this? I want to say it is probably an env.username. Does this work? /.tmux.conf. Let's see if this works. I honestly don't think it will. Before we run that, I'm just going to go main.role. And this is typically how I do a lot of testing. I'm going to comment these out. I really hate how Vim just like put it way over there. Let's get these at the start of the line. And then we can remove demo copy. And for this message, I'm just going to do env.username. And then when I run this, let's see, Ansible playbook main.yaml, env is undefined. Okay. Let's see. Wonder if I just do Ansible facts. That's not how I want. I think instead of messaged, it is var. Let's run this. And now we have a bunch of variables. So let's, how do I search? So we got env and home. What did I put? Let's see. Can I do both? env.home. I did username. Let's see. It wants us to do another one. This is not the best way to do it, but oh, shoot. Whenever you do this, you need to put it in quotes. Failed undefined variable, env. Let's see. Ansible facts. Pretty sure. That's right. This is the top level. And it's alphabetical, so env should be right here. Oh, I remember. I don't know exactly why, but it's called Ansible _env, I believe. So let's try that real quick. Yeah, so that print in home IPSEC. Sweet. So we can remove this, go back to roles. Let's see. 1, 2. That should be good. Let's go into configure roles, configure tmux, tasks, main. And we'll just put Ansible env home. We just do this. I think it will copy the tmux config. And we need to create the tmux config. So let's do roles, configure tmux, files, and we'll do .tmux.conf. And I have it on my clipboard, so I'll just paste it in. And this is the tmux config I like using. Watch my introduction to tmux video if you want to know what any of this does, but this is the one I use. So now that that is saved, let us do an LSLA on our home, and we can verify there's no .tmux files, right? So let's do v main, that's set up. Ansible playbook main.yaml. And let's see, template error unexpected period. V roles. Let's see. We gotta terminate that. Run it again. And unexpected end. It probably doesn't like me just terminating it with this slash. Oh, this needs not to be playbook directory as well. This is a role. So if I do role path, that should be that variable. There we go. So now we have it installed. So if I do that ls command again, we can see tmux.conf is there. So I'm going to exit, and we're going to go into the Parrot build, do tmux again, and I'm now on my tmux config. So the next thing I want to install is my terminal changes. So let's go into roles, and we're going to go again, Ansible Galaxy, and we will call this customize terminal. We need to do a init. And let's go into tasks, v main.yaml. And the first thing we want to do is copy our bashrc file. So we'll do this, copy bashrc. The copy module, the source is going to be role path, then files.bashrc, and we'll have to copy the file there. And then destination is going to be Ansible environment.home, just like in tmux. And that should be good. So let's go up one directory, make dir files cp.bashrc to files. And we can go back into the main. That looks good. Here we can add a role to customize terminal. And then Ansible playbook main. Let's see, sudo, who am I? Let's redo this. There we go. So the bashrc, it didn't say changed again because the file is the same exact thing we have. So the next thing we want to do is a terminal. And I'm coming to the realization, I don't know exactly how our terminal is configured. We did create a profile, right? We just changed our default profile. We should probably create a new one. Let's create video based on default. That should be fine. Close, terminal. Now I got a video profile. So go in my home directory, and I'm going to do find.grep-i video. That's not it. Let's do a grep-r video. That's a lot of text. I'm going to awk the first space, and I'll pipe this unique. That didn't do what I wanted. Let's see. Let's instead create a new profile. Where is it? Change profile. New. Please subscribe terminal. We'll create this. Okay. Grep. Please subscribe terminal. And shoot, this is going to be in dconf. So that is read through a tool called dconf, and we can do list. Let's see, it's probably going to be org. My terminal is mate. There we go. Terminal profiles. And we got profile 0 and 1. If I do profile 0, all the attributes. So let's see. There is a dump. So if I dump this, let's just dump this to temp profile. V temp profile. This is going to be everything. Let's see. Title. Oh, visible name is video. So this is going to be what the thing is called. I'm going to call this backup profile because I want to restore this and verify when I go to terminal, change profile, I can see backup, right? So now that we have that, we can do a dconf load, right? There's a load. Help read. Yeah, load. And it populates from standard in. And let's copy the profile and then direct temp profile to this. And we'll call this temp profile, I guess. So now we have successfully loaded it, it looks like. So if I do a ls or list, it exists. So we have created this profile. And if I go to terminal, change profile, we don't see it. We can open up another terminal and we still don't see it. So let's go up one, go in global. There's a profile list. So we probably have to add it here. Maybe read. Yes. So I bet if we write this, and hopefully I do this correctly. So we'll copy. And what we want to call this is, what did we call it? Temp profile. So TMP profile, hit enter. And now we don't see it. We got profile and profile. We deleted one. Profile 1. There we go. There we go. So we have, oddly enough, we have 2 defaults. I wonder if that's because I haven't reloaded it. Or maybe I copied default. Oh, please subscribe terminal. This is what we want. So, that should be fine. If I look at last temp profile, what is the name? It is backup profile. Let's see. Oh, we have temp and TMP. Let's put TMP, actually spell it out. There we go. There's backup profile. So I just named it something silly. So now we have this working. Profile, video. I wish I knew exactly what the name was. We can just move temp profile, I guess, and we'll call this video. I'll call it dconf-dump-video. And then we'll change backup profile to be video. And now we have to create an Ansible thing to do this. So let's go into our Parrot build, roles, and you guessed it. Oh, we already have customized terminal, tasks, main, and now we'll have to probably first register the variable for a profile list because we don't want to overwrite any profile. So we're going to do name, read current mate terminal profiles. And then I'm going to use the dconf module. And again, you can just go to the built-in page to read how it works. Let's see. Dconf Ansible. This will be the module that doesn't really have many things. You got key, state, and value. So the first thing we're going to do is key. And what was the key? Dconf read. We want the profile list. So this is what we want. Paste this in. And then we're going to tell it to read the key. And we're going to save the output of this to a variable. So I'm going to call that variable profile list. And we do that so we can append to this. So we're going to do name, adding our profile. And what we want to do is create a new fact. And we're going to call it new profile list. And this one is somewhat challenging. So we'll do profile list dot value to get the value of our variable. And then we're going to do a regular expression replace. And we're going to replace the last bracket with comma video like this. Let's see. We're ending that, putting comma. Let's see. Do I have to escape something here? I'm like going in quoteception because, let's see, list, or it was read, right? So what we want to do is erase this and then put a comma and then a quote and a profile name. But we've already used both quotes. So we're having a little bit of trouble. I think I know what I'm going to do. We're going to get rid of these quotes, and I think we can escape a double quote. And if we do it like this, and then video, I wonder if that's going to work. set fact, new profile list. And then we end it with a double quote. We can do name, debug, message, new profile list. Try this. Load a playbook. Let's see. We screwed up. V, roles, customize terminal, tasks main. Like this. Is this how we did this before? Of course, we got rid of debug. Let's see. Let's actually read the error message if it errors. So sudo who am I, password. Okay. Template error, unexpected, expected this. We did not exit our regular expression. So regex replace. And then after that, there we go. And let's see if this one works. So we got message. That looks good. Hey, I think we did it. Because it's just expanding the list, right? And we get temp profile, comma, and then video. I think that works. Sweet. So what we can do now is write our updated list. So writing updated profile list, dconf, and then key was org mate terminal. After terminal, what was it? Global profile list. Okay. And then we want value new profile list. And we're going to have to do a when statement because we don't want to write this profile twice ever. Like if we if this is a profile, we don't want to put video and then run the script again and put video again and then video again every time we run it. So we're going to put a when clause on this. And we're going to say video not in profile list dot value. I'm going to put this in quotes. And the original profile list, it's getting it from up here. So let's try running it. And let's see. That looks good. It did one change. So I want to see if it skips it this time. And I think I need to put, yeah, it skipped it. So that is good. The last thing we have to do is copy our profile into this. So we just created our profile list and pointed it to the video thing, but we didn't actually load the video. That was with this load command. And I don't think the dconf module has a good way to do that. I don't see it doing it here. So I'm going to be lazy and we're just going to do it with a terminal command. Probably not the best way to do it, but it's not stupid if it works, right? So let's go back to main.yaml and we're going to create a name and then restoring video profile from dump. And then we'll call this one shell. And the command is going to be essentially this. So profiles, we're going to call this one, what do we call it up here? Video. And then we need to specify where this file actually exists. So it's going to be role path /files /dconf dump video, I think is what we call it. And then we end the variable. Okay. I think that is what we want. ls files customize roles customize terminal files. We'll want to put that dconf file in. And then if I do a list, let's see, that is terminal. Profiles. There is a video profile. We'll probably just end up making sure this doesn't error out, and then we'll test it by running our playbook on a vanilla copy of Parrot at the end. And I really hope it fixes it. Undefined variable. The error files is undefined. Let's go into this task. Let's see. Specify variable that way. Let it run. And that looks good. And this one's always going to say changed. I guess we could do the exact clause. So if I copy this when, then we'll skip it if we've already ran this playbook once. So there we go. Now, the final thing we're going to do in this video is install the tool Kerbrute. And we're going to install it from the actual source. So if I could do Kerbrute GitHub, I can explain why we're going to do it this way. It was last updated November 16, 2020, but the last release here is December 15th, 2019. So I want to clone this, build it, and then copy it into my local bin directory. So I always have the latest copy of Kerbrute. So let's go into roles, and then we're going to do Ansible Galaxy to create a new role. And I'm going to call this install tools because I don't want to create a role for every single tool. I just want to create one big role. And because we're doing that, I'm actually going to now take the time and break off from just using one main.yaml file. So what we're going to do is create kerbrute.yaml, and then we'll call -name cloning the repo. And we can call the git module. And again, you can just Google it to see the variables, but it's relatively simple. We just call repo. And we paste where we want it, or the repo, and then we can do temp Kerbrute. I'm going to write it to temp because I want to delete this afterwards. So now that that's there, let's just test to make sure everything works. And we can go into the main, and then we just do include kerbrute.yaml. So let's go up and then v main.yaml and call our install tools role. Okay. Ansible playbook main. Let's see. It's configuring. And we can see it said cloning the repo. I'm probably going to change this to say something about Kerbrute itself. So let's go v roles, install tools, task, Kerbrute, and we'll say cloning Kerbrute repo. And now we need to install it. Or instead of install it, I guess just build it. So we'll do -name, building Kerbrute. And then we can do shell. And when I do the pipe like this, it's going to execute the commands down here. There's probably a an Ansible module to install Go things or do something like that, but I'm just going to do it through 2 commands because this works, right? So we do this and then go build. And then we can do -name and moving Kerbrute to bin. So let's do the copy module. Source is going to be temp Kerbrute, Kerbrute. And the destination, let's see, echo path. Let's make this a bit more readable with sed, /r, actually replace all colons with a line break. And home ipsec local bin sounds like a good place. So we can go back and do Ansible env.home.local bin. Make sure this is in quotes. Okay. And let's run it and see what happens. It is building. It takes its little sweet time to build, but it looks like we have it. So I should be able to run Kerbrute and permission denied. So it did copy it there, but its permissions are not executable. So we want to make it executable by the owner. So let's go back into our playbook. And this will be a mode flag. And I can do, we'll do 770. So it would be read, write, execute, or we'll do 750. Read, write, execute for me. I think just read for the group. And then, actually that's read, write for the group and nothing, I think. Let's just run it and we'll see. It's going, building, and it built really fast. I guess because it already had some modules it needed. But if I do Kerbrute now, we can see it runs. We can do LSLA. That is not what I expected. Do I do 0750? This is why we double check our work, because it did definitely something odd there. There we go. So these are the permissions we want. I guess we have to give it that. If we do LSLA, we can see that is what we expected. It's not read write. It was read execute for the group, read write for me. And yeah, so That's pretty much going to be everything. I'm trying to think if there was anything else I wanted to do. I don't believe so. I think this is a good stopping point for now. What I'm going to do, though, is stop the video. I'm going to copy this up to my GitHub, and then I'm going to rebuild and get a clean image of Parrot, and we'll go install this module and see if it works from a clean install to get me to where I'm at right now. So, yeah. Okay, so here is the moment of truth. I have installed Ansible on a new VM. We don't have any changes. You can see if I click terminal, there's no more profiles. This is just a fresh install. And I've also pushed all the changes or the profile to my GitHub repo. So let's just clone parrot build. I'm going to do a sudo who am I real quick. We've done it from the Ansible install, and man, I really miss not having transparency. So let's do Ansible playbook main.yaml, and we'll see what happens. Looks like it installed tmux, and video. Something got screwed up with this variable. That's not good. Shoot. Nothing ever goes right the first time around, right? Let's just do a solid color real quick. I will make the font bigger, and we'll troubleshoot this one thing. Hopefully this is the only thing that is broken. I think it's 24. There we go. Run it again. Let's see exactly what that error is. The condition check video not in profile list value failed. Templating, if video not in this, else argument type of none type, not iterable. Okay, so let's view this. V roles, customize terminal, tasks, main.yaml. So I think the error was around here. I'm guessing the profile list variable is empty, maybe because we don't have any profiles. This thing doesn't exist. So let's test that there real quick. We can do dconf list, org, mate, terminal, and there's no global directory, right? We had terminal global profile list. So that's definitely the error. So what I'm going to do is add another check up here, and we can do -name, and then we can say profile list was null setting. And then we can do a set fact. And because how this stores it, we could just do like profile list is equal to default like this. But what we have to do, because later on we have profile list.value, is treat this as, I guess a dictionary is the right terminology. We just do value like this. So this way the profile list object does have a value thing. So now all is left is we do when profile list.value is null. Let's try this. Build it. Sudo who am I? Put in the password. Build it. Let's see. No test named null. Whoops. V. Maybe it's none, not null. Change it here as well. We'll say not set. Okay. Copying. There we go. That looks better. So now it is building Kerbrute, and I think we are good. So if I go to my terminal profile, We have two defaults. That second default, oh God. Let's close it and reopen it. Terminal, change profile, video. Awesome. So that looks like it did it. If we go to code, parrot build, let's just do a sudo who am I again real quick and do Ansible playbook main. I just want to make sure it skips over some things. So profile skipped, and we skipped the profiles. So everything here should be good. That's going to conclude the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care, and I will see you all next time.